We went to Uganda, where AIDS has ravaged the country, killing more than 1 million people, and where Dr. Peter Mugeni, a pioneer against AIDS, told us how grateful he is to Americans for saving his fellow Ugandans.
We thank sincerely the American people. They are the people who are saving lives. They are the people who can be proud that lives are being saved on this continent.
President Bush created a program in 2004 with the bipartisan backing of Congress. Last year, Congress raised the funding to about $7 billion a year for the next 5 years. You've called this the greatest aid effort in modern times.
Absolutely. There has never been a rescue mission, a mission of mercy of this magnitude that has produced such magnanimous results.
He told us Africans now see America differently.
The impression that people in Africa have of America is that America is no longer the world's policeman. It is now Africa's friend. What an image.
And how about this image? All of these exuberant-looking children, every one of them has HIV or AIDS. They would all be dead or dying if it weren't for America. Now they're alive and thriving. Viola is 13. Her mother died of AIDS, and she was dying from it too, until she began taking those drugs provided by the United States. We met Viola at her home, where she lives with her aunt. That's a lot of pills to swallow at once.
I take them every day.
And you never forget?
I can't forget.
What would happen if you forgot to take your pills?
I think I can die.
Viola will be fine, but Dr. Sabrina Kitaka, a pediatrician, remembers all the children who died before America came to the rescue 6 years ago. She had 2,000 children who needed life-saving drugs, but only enough pills to treat 30 of them. So she sent home more than 1,900 children with only vitamins and hope. A false hope, because all but the 30 chosen children died. You were, in fact, playing God.
But we had no choice.
No choice because she had no pills. Ed Bradley saw that when he came here 10 years ago and talked to Dr. Mugeni when the situation looked hopeless.
In bed after bed, Dr. Mugeni showed us patient after patient who couldn't afford drugs either to fight the virus or the diseases it brings. This man had arrived at the hospital 2 weeks earlier.
What would that cost to give him the drugs, other patients, the drugs that they need?
$600 per month.
And a man like this, how much would he make a month?
Maybe $5, $10 per month.
Even after pooling their resources, his family didn't have the money for treatments. They decided to take him home to die.
But today, generic drugs have made AIDS pills much cheaper. Treating one patient for a year used to cost more than $7,000. Now it's less than $300. As HIV destroys a person's immune system, leading to AIDS, patients need these powerful pills, anti-retrovirals they're called, or miracle pills. To stop the virus, most patients have to take 2 to 6 pills a day. Now, with the U.S. paying for the pills, AIDS patients are no longer doomed. Dr. Mugeni can give them all the drugs they need and send them home smiling.
Absolute miracle, because this kind of situation, Lazarus syndrome, people being resurrected from the dead, was inconceivable only 5 years ago.
The Lazarus syndrome.
Yes.
Rising from the dead.
Rising from the dead.
But even with American aid, the battle is far from over. Several sexual customs here make AIDS hard to contain. Polygamy is accepted in much of Uganda, and infidelity is so widespread that the main chain of transmission is someone having sex outside of marriage and transmitting it to their spouse. And then there are the sugar daddies. That's what Ugandans call rich old men with young mistresses, passing it on to a new generation. It is such a problem that there are even billboards discouraging it. For example, would you let this man be with your teenage daughter? So why are you with his? Prostitutes still find plenty of customers in Kampala, even though half of the women are infected. 100,000 children alive in Uganda today got HIV/AIDS from their mothers, either at birth or from breast milk. And thousands of adults are still dying of AIDS, because like Dan and Gobi, they didn't get treatment in time. Ngobi is 35 and probably won't see 36. He's racked by waves of pain and just sits or sleeps in his hut, waiting to die.
Some people come when it's too late, and even with the anti-retroviral drugs, you may not rescue them.
Come here. Just then, a natty young gentleman caught my eye. Hello. Hello. Do you know anything about this fellow here?
He says he's called Michael.
Michael? Mm-hmm. Hello, Michael. Does he have AIDS?
Yes, he does.
But the American program will save his life?
Yes, and that, as a pediatrician, is my joy, to see every single child grow up to full capacity and be a responsible citizen of this nation.
This little fellow could be an old man one day.
Uh-huh.
And he'll have to change his suit, but other than that, he'll be just the same.
Exactly, yeah.
America, thank you so much.
A Ugandan singer named Supercharger wrote a song thanking America because he has AIDS, and pills supplied by America are keeping him alive. He's paid, partly with American AIDS money, to teach children how to avoid AIDS, while he entertains them. Uganda's campaign to stop the spread of AIDS is called ABC. A for abstinence, B for be faithful to your partner, and C for condoms. But lately, the government has stressed abstinence and fidelity, with condoms running a distant third.
It's a fallback position.
A fallback. That's how Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni refers to condoms.
It's better than being sick.
But you think condoms are a last resort?
Certainly they're a last resort in our culture. But in case you can't abstain, you can't be faithful, then go for the fallback position.
In this country, which is 80% Christian, the priests and the president sing the same song. Abstinence for singles, fidelity for married couples, and condoms for those who can't measure up.
When HIV/AIDS comes, we can defeat it with a magic bullet called abstinence and faithfulness in marriage.
Pastor Martin Simba, a Ugandan evangelical, tries to sell abstinence to tough customers, students on the campus of Makerere University. The U.S. is spending $17 million a year in Uganda for abstinence programs alone, but it's not working. The AIDS rate is inching back up, above 6%, because now that AIDS is no longer a death sentence, people are getting more careless about spreading it. Sadly, the solution has become part of the problem. If people are becoming complacent about AIDS, how do you, as a preacher, put the fear of God into them?
I think it's the fear of AIDS in them.
But doesn't everyone now know the risk of AIDS?
No. Every year, there is a new group of young people that come into sexual maturity. There's a group of adolescents that enter into sexual experimentation. They have never heard that AIDS spread. They have never seen someone die from HIV/AIDS.
And disaster is looming, because in Africa, 1 million more people a year will come down with HIV/AIDS. The U.S. says it simply can't afford caring for any more new patients. So unless other wealthy countries step up, millions are doomed. For now, the U.S. says it will keep treating people already in the program. Thank heaven, says pediatrician Sabrina Kitaka. Are you convinced or optimistic that the Americans will go on doing this?
Sometimes I worry that supposing they stop, then what?
The answer is simple. They would die, wouldn't they?
That's the truth. And what would all our efforts have come to zero? It's like blackmailing the American people, but we hope and pray that they will continue to support this program.